That's right. Oh, Face Wrestling. Listen to the podcast. Listen. They are Dark Side approved. Holiday approves it. Oh, Face Wrestling. I'll be listening. Will you?
Hi, I'm MCW Women's Champion Gia Scott, and you're watching Oh Face Wrestling.
Namaste, everybody. It's the Queen Incarnate, the Savage Beauty, the International Face Kicker Sahara 7, and you're watching O Face Wrestling Podcast.
What's good, guys? It's the Wrestle Bay of Professional Wrestling Vanity, your your BCW Women's Champion, and I wanted to give a shout out to the best O Face Wrestling. You guys got to check them out. Come on now, get on it. Love you guys. Bye.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today on O Face Wrestling. This is your host JT, and today I am joined by Promise Braxton. So how you doing today, Promise?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I like your shirt, by the way.
Thank you. It's Tupac.
Oh yeah, that's old school right there. So Promise, I'm really happy to have you part of the show today. So I got some questions lined up for you. So are you ready to go?
Of course. Let's do it.
Do it. All right, so first question, so in general, like what inspired you to become a professional wrestler?
I think it's just something I always wanted to do. Every time I watched wrestling as a kid, it always made me feel some type of way. Yeah, I'm from Pittsburgh, so we have the Steelers, the Pirates, the Penguins, and wrestling was the sport that made me feel sad. It made me feel happy. I was depressed. It was just one of those sports that made me feel alive. So it was just something that clung on to me as a kid, and I knew I wanted to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, same thing with me. Like when I watch wrestling, it kind of makes me feel like a kid again, you know, kind of like, just like still to this day when Jeff Hardy comes out, I still do the dance and all like, like I love football and it's really entertaining, but it doesn't make me feel like a kid, you know, so like wrestling still gives me that joy. So I can definitely relate to that. And so now the next question. So I noticed on your bios for your social media, you mentioned that you're a Rebel Buddhist, and you're also mentioned that plant-based athlete. So tell me a little bit about what all that means.
Plant-based athlete, I'll sum that up. Within like last 30 days, I just completely changed my diet up. Like no meat, no fish, just straight plants, beans, and it has done a lot for my body. Like I feel a lot better. Like I've always been in pretty good shape, but now I feel a lot stronger. I feel healthier. I feel like I can breathe more. Like so, it was just a decision to just be healthier. You know, you can lift weights, but at the end of the day, your organs need to be taken care of too. And so that was kind of the inspiration behind that. And the whole Rebel Buddhist is, to me, it just represents being true. I always tell my mom something I've been saying as a kid, let me be my authentic self. And she hates that I say that to her, but it's just allowing me to be myself, allowing me to express myself the way I want to express myself, whether it's with hair, with wrestling, with drawing, music. As you can see, I got a whole crowd load of tattoos. It's just being yourself. And if society hates it, who cares?
Exactly. Like, you know, you can only be yourself. Like if you're trying to be something that you're not, people easily can sense that. So I definitely agree with that. And like, as far as like, taking care of yourself too, like I definitely need to start hitting you up about some tips because
of course.
Everyone, I want to get healthier, but it's just hard to get the motivation. Like I work for a produce warehouse, so I get to take a lot of produce home for free, and I just don't take advantage of it like I should. But like one thing I have noticed too with me, like I used to take coffee to work every day. Now I'm taking orange juice, and I do feel a lot better. You know, I mean, just small change like that does make a difference. And I'm kind of thinking to really start like taking out the soda and even taking out some of the junk food. Just imagine like how much better I would feel. So I mean,
A lot better.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be hitting you up about some advice about that.
Definitely hit me up.
All right. So the next question. So I know that you are scheduled for the Mission Pro Wrestling event next month, and I'm personally, as a fan, really excited for this event. I love, all women, wrestling promotions. I'm a big fan of WoW. So now that, Thunder Rosa, Robin Reed, they're going to be, running, Mission Pro Wrestling. So I think this is really cool. It gives any fan out there who's really big into women's wrestling another, promotion to keep an eye on. So tell me a little bit about how you got booked, and then, a little bit about, your excitement for this event.
It was just kind of like random. Like, like Thunder Rosa and I had a match. I'm not sure when, a couple months ago, and we had a good time. And then it was like a few weeks after the speaking out movement, and she's like, "I want to start my own promotion, all women." And I was just thinking to myself, like, "Hey, it would be cool to be on that show." And then like the next day, Ivory Robin like messaged me like, "Hey, would you like to be on the show?" And like, to myself, I'm like, hell yeah, I want to be on the show. But I'm like, you gotta be professional. Like, yes, ma'am, I would. Like, yes, I would love to be on the show. But it was that simple. It was that quick. And I'm very, very fortunate, because they could have asked a lot of girls. There's a lot of talent, women talent in Texas, Houston alone. Then you got the San Antonio chicks, the Dallas chicks. So I was very fortunate to even be on the show. So I'm very grateful to Ivory and Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to see it. And like you mentioned, there's like in general, not just like in Texas and Dallas, there's so many talented women all around the world. Like when I got back into wrestling in 2010, I really only knew WWE. But then when I started like dipping into the indies, I didn't realize how big it was. Like I never knew.
Seriously.
I live in Maryland, so there's MCW. And when I found out about that, I thought that was really one of the very few. And then I started seeing, oh, well, they got these events in D.C. and New York, Jersey. It's like independent pro wrestling like everywhere. And it's like, it's definitely like competitive. And, Thunder Rosa and Robin Reed, they're kind of like a really big deal. And, the fact that they're, so I could definitely, understand your excitement. Like, I had Thunder Rosa on my show back in, I think it was like December. Now she was one of my first interviews, and of course, her being such a big name, me being new to this, I was so nervous and like, wow, this is like a big deal. I had her, and then I had like Robin Reed the next month. So they're both great. I love them both. Robin's been on the show twice, so I know they're gonna, do well with this promotion, and I'm definitely excited to see, you compete. And I know that's gonna be able, or us fans are gonna be able to live stream it. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you, because unfortunately, a trip to Texas is something I can't do right now. I want to do it in the future though.
Trust me, I know. I'm from that region, and those plane tickets are like an arm and a leg sometimes. Like, dude, I trust me, I know. I can't just go home when I want to.
Exactly. And like, if I wanted to drive, I think it's like a 2-day trip or 2 or 3 day trip. And I'm like, oh no.
I drove down here. It's 24 hours.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's crazy. When we go to like New York or New Jersey for events, that's 3 hours. And that alone, just like my legs are stiff. And that takes a lot out of me. So doing like a 24-hour drive.
Don't do it.
Yeah, no, I can't.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Like you said, plane tickets aren't cheap either. So one day I'm gonna make the trip. I've always, even before when I was younger, I've always wanted to go to Texas. It's Texas, you know what I mean?
It's Texas. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. Got the best steak apparently. So yeah, that is definitely on my bucket list. So
Most definitely.
You're there too when I go.
Of course.
And now, next question. So when I was doing a little bit of research on you, I noticed that you wrestled for Reality of Wrestling, Booker T's promotion. So tell me a little bit about that experience.
I wrestled under the name London Ali when I was in Pittsburgh, and I felt very stagnant. I felt like I wasn't going anywhere, but I felt like, in my heart, that I had potential, so I didn't want to just up and quit the business, because you only get one chance at this stuff, especially being a female, we're very limited to like the time. So I told myself, before I give this up, I'm going to go somewhere to get the proper training, get the proper knowledge, get the proper psychology. And if I suck, then that means I just suck, then I'll give up, so so happened in 2018, my mom and my younger siblings, they moved to Houston. And she's like, she really wanted me to come down there. And I'm like, I don't know. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go, but I'm going to find a school. And then Reality Wrestling was probably like an hour away from her house. So I'm like, I'm going to do it. And then I remember I was in Texas for like 2 weeks. And then I just called Booker T. Like, I called the school and Booker answered. And I'm like, I didn't want to mark out, but I low-key did. Like, like it's Booker T. He said, come up. I came up, and then that was September 22nd. And I had my first match on Ladies Night Out 9, November 16th. And had my first match for Row January 16th, I believe.
Okay, yeah, I heard of Ladies Night Out before. I think I saw like an Ember Moon match. She was Athena at the time, but yeah, because I know she trained with Booker T as well. So it makes sense. But yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about him and his school. So I think that's definitely really cool that you got to work with him. I mean, he's a freaking legend, And it's just funny that you call and you don't really expect Booker T if you don't want to answer. But wow, like that must have been kind of an experience as well.
I mean, every time I see him, I get like, I damn near pop inside. I get so excited. I watch Booker's matches at least 3 times a week. His promos, his stuff in TNA, his podcasts. So it's really cool. Since being at the Reality of Wrestling, I've definitely sharpened up on my skills. I don't look at wrestling the way I looked at it back then. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I was missing kind of like just like the tools. I had all the pieces, but I didn't have the tools. So now I feel very comfortable with making a match. I feel very comfortable playing this role or that role or almost any role that you give me. I'm comfortable doing a promo and someone just handed me a microphone. I'm not afraid. I'm not scared. I'm not doubting myself anymore because I know I'm good. And I'm not saying that in a cocky way, but I'm saying it in a way that I feel comfortable enough to say that.
Exactly. Like it's being confident, and that's what you need to be. Not just being a wrestler, just any kind of job, but yeah, definitely as a wrestler, especially the promos. Like a lot of people don't realize how important it is to be able to cut a good promo. Like if you look at some of the best in the business, Booker T, The Rock, CM Punk, I mean, the list goes on. They all could cut a promo. If you can go out there and win the fans over without even wrestling, that's like key right there. Especially if your goal is to get to like WWE.
Absolutely.
Cut a promo. So I mean, that's definitely a skill that is really important in the business, and some people don't realize it. And I see it all the time on social media. They're like, oh, so and so is so good, why aren't they getting a chance? And it's like, can they cut a promo? I've seen it all the time with so many wrestlers, and I want to see, sometimes I feel like some promotions, they need a kind of showcase their strengths and hide their weaknesses when it comes to promos. Like me personally, if you gave me a script and to do a promo, I couldn't do it. I can't read from a script and actually present it out, organically. So I feel like some people just kind of get the mic and just say whatever they want, kind of thing. But it is important too. But if you're to be good at like scripted promos too, because some promotions, you kind of have to do whatever, they give you. So I mean, that's really good that you have that confidence.
Yeah, you definitely have to believe in what you're saying, whether they give you a script or it's just off the top of your head. Anyone can talk, like say, talk about this person or talk about that for 2 minutes. Most people can do it, but to get the crowd to engage with you, for them to believe you, that's hard. I think sometimes promo is kind of like a lost art, but when people do it right, it's a beautiful thing. Like Eddie Kingston's promo on AEW like 2 weeks ago. Like I was sold. Like he came out hot. Like I'm coming here to fight you. And I'm gonna take everything that you got. And he talks with like that New York accent, and it's like this dude's he's great. I love Eddie Kingston.
I have to say I'm guilty of missing the last few weeks of AEW. That look on your face. Yeah, I'm so busy. Lately, I've been so invested in Impact, because I'm loving what Mira and Tasha are doing. So it's like, I've missed the last few weeks of NXT as well, but I need to catch up on AEW because I really like what they're doing as well. It's just there's so much wrestling now. That's the crazy thing. WWE has their 3 shows. You got AEW, Impact. wow, they're on their off season right now. But, it's just crazy with all the wrestling, and it's good. And, every promotion offers something different. But going back to what you were saying about believing what you were saying, yeah, because if you don't believe what you're saying, the crowd won't believe it too. And you do not want you don't want to silence crowd. So that's the worst thing. So, I mean, yeah, I definitely agree with you. Like you said, it is kind of a lost art, I mean, you just don't really see it that often anymore. Like, back in the day, you saw it all the time with wrestlers, like I mentioned, The Rock and, all those wrestlers from the Attitude Era. In WWE, it just feels like, a bunch of people are just given scripts and that's what they're reading. And it's kind of like, you don't believe it.
It's hard if you don't believe it, and then on top of that, now it's the whole pandemic. So I'm pretty sure they're just reading it because it's hard to read it when no one's around.
Exactly. At least they know if they're live, if they mess up or something like that, they can re-record it. So that's an official thing to it.
I mean, they're doing their thing, with the lemons they've been working with. They're doing a pretty good job. I think everyone, AEW, Impact, and WWE, I think they're all doing a good job because you can't not have it on TV. Like, the world will go crazy if Impact, AEW, and WWE didn't, host wrestling for 1 week.
Oh, I know. Like, it would be so weird without wrestling. Like, I know they've been criticized a lot for still continuing to put out, wrestling, but, because I had Matthew Palmer on the show recently. He was explaining to me, like, WWE, for example, them still going out there and producing content, they are still keeping people, giving them jobs and money. Because he said, like, if hypothetically they closed down temporarily, they wouldn't be able to pay everyone on the IR, aka like exactly. So they are still providing paychecks for people, and I can only assume no one's being forced to do it if you want to quarantine. It kind of goes every time around, but. But yeah, they are really working, and at first it was like weird with no crowd, but it's like they're really doing things now that like kind of make you forget there's not a crowd. I love having the NXT stars in the crowd, and I think it's really cool. And now I notice WWE's using like a audience sound and all, which kind of is pretty cool as well. So
it's something better than just. I mean, me personally, wrestling in front of no one is hard. And I'm mostly the heel, so it's even more awkward. Like you about to go talk to the crowd, it's like, oh, there's no one there.
Yeah, that's so like for a heel is like taunting the fans back. Like I remember an episode of SmackDown where like Sasha Banks was acting like there was a crowd and she was kind of yelling at no one. I thought that was cool. But some people would just feel weird doing that. But I mean, yeah, I feel like, we don't know when there's going to be a crowd. So the fact that they're progressing and doing different things, especially with some of those, like the Boneyard match and the Swamp match and stuff like that, they're doing is like really creative, things to make you forget that there's not a crowd. Same thing with the Money in the Bank matches too. I thought that was really fun watching those matches.
It was. I mean, like I said, you're in a situation where you kind of have to do something, like every year we look forward to, WrestleMania, we look forward to Slammiversary, we look forward to Money in the Bank, and it's like they can't technically have it traditionally because we're not going to be involved. You can't watch a ladder match with no crowd. Like, it's going to be kind of awkward. So you got to have, if it's in a corporate building or if it's in a boneyard, so be it. So I dig it.
I digged it too. Like, I didn't see anyone complaining about it. I mean, I saw people were complaining about the ending, but just the match itself was fun. So I was fine with it. It's creative. Hopefully, maybe even with the crowd, they could do stuff like that too. I mean, hey, this is them being forced to do something new, and it's working. So, I mean, I definitely got to give kudos to them.
Definitely. Like, nothing but props to all those companies. Nothing but props.
Exactly. The same here. So next question I have for you is kind of like two questions in one. So what are some wrestlers that you're looking to face in the ring? And then also, what are some promotions that you really want to work for in the future?
Right now, I got my eyes on all the Road Girls. Like, I think they are some of the most talented women that I've ever had the opportunity just to train and like learn from. Because coming where I'm from, I was the only girl like training. There was a Honey Badger, Regina Badger, and Laura Lovelace, but they were already like graduated when I came in. So coming into like reality of wrestling, and you got girls like Rachel Rose, Roxy, Hayan, AQA, Alex Gracia, who I'm facing tomorrow. It's just like kind of like a dream come true to fight girls who are better than me or at the same level as me, because I know I can only get better facing those girls. And promotions, I'm not picky. I'm really not. Like, if I know what's going to benefit me, I'll take it. I definitely want to hit Houston, well, just Texas a little more. I want to hit some states I've never been to, especially like the South. Like I want to wrestle in Louisiana, California if I get a chance, Arizona, but I never really heard of any promotions in Arizona, to be honest. But it really doesn't matter. I just want a good opponent and have a good time.
I mean, yeah, that's what it's all about, just having a good time in the ring. You mentioned AQA. I've been looking at her and some of her stuff lately, and she's really good on it. She's someone I'm actually looking into reaching out sometime in the near future about coming to the show. Promotion wise, though, hopefully maybe one day you come down to Maryland and wrestle for MCW or even Primetime Wrestling in DC. That would, it'd be really fun watching you wrestle live.
Absolutely. Hopefully we can make it happen.
Yeah, you said you're from Pittsburgh, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's close by, so yeah, maybe that can happen. Primetime Wrestling, I think they're kind of new. I didn't really hear about them until like a few months ago, but their show was so lit. Like,
really?
The energy, of the crowd. I mean, it was like the funnest event I've ever been to. MCW is also very fun. Like, that's the promotion I go to the most. So that either one would be really cool. I do travel to New Jersey, like I mentioned, for a few events sometimes. So if you're in the DMV area in general, like I would definitely come. I love meeting new wrestlers, and
of course,
and the events are fun. Like I tell people all the time, most of my friends are WWE, and they don't know how fun it is to be at indie events. Like you get an experience that you will not get in WWE.
Seriously.
Exactly. Because for me, I love interacting with the wrestlers and actually chatting. WWE, if you do get the opportunity to meet them, it's a very quick photo. Hey, how are you? And you're gone. At these indie events, you could actually have like conversations, and that's actually turned into me being friends with some of them. So that's like the coolest experience ever. So like I said, just indie events, you get that experience that you would never get at WWE or even AEW.
Definitely. I've always wanted to wrestle in Maryland. I just never had the opportunity.
Yeah, because I know they're like in general, like their women's rosters are really small. They only have 3 on the roster, and from just what I've seen, it seems like more so the women that from outside of the actual company, it's more so like DMV area kind of women. So, but yeah, they're champion right now, Gia Scott. She's great. That'd be cool.
That's the only one I know. That's the only one I know.
Yeah,
I knew Renee Michelle was from like that area.
Yeah, I met her back in October when she was the MCW Women's Champion again. I know she's won 4 times or something like that, but yeah, because I know she was there and then she left and she did her little thing in WWE, but then she came back, which was cool. So I was fortunate enough to actually meet her. And actually,
she's a really nice chick. She is super nice.
She is. She was really, really nice. I met her in October and then December. December is when she lost the title. So it was a fun match. And yeah, like she's really nice. And last question I have for you. So this is kind of a fantasy booking kind of thing. So if you were signed with WWE and you had the opportunity to main event WrestleMania and you could pick any opponent across any brand, any promotion, who would you want to go one-on-one with?
Sasha Banks.
Sasha Banks.
Sasha Banks. Like that's a no-brainer. Sasha Banks.
You did not hesitate. Yeah, because Sasha Banks, like my friend made a comment and she's not lying. She can wrestle in a match against a mop and get the mop over. Like it doesn't matter who she wrestles. It's like it always feels like it's at least like a 4 or 5 star match. Like she kills it all the time and she just works well with everyone. Like
And she just crisp everything that she does, hitting the ropes, just the selling, she went down to NXT and had the match with Io, and it's just like, girl, like, I'm kind of waiting on her and Bianca Belair to have a match, but that's pay-per-view worthy to me, so they might as well not do that right now. But like you said, Bayley's, Charlotte, Nia Jax, Dana Brooke, Carmella, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, like, the girl can work, and I feel like that would be like a dream come true to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be a dream come true to a lot of people. I mean, like you said, everything she does is just like perfect, and it always has boggled my mind how they've never like gone all in with her. Hopefully, that's what they're doing now. But yeah, she's like the perfect wrestler. I mean, I always say she's the GOAT. Like,
Who's the GOAT?
I've never seen someone just go out there and just kill it every time. I mean, there's a lot of great wrestlers, but they seem to sometimes have their, their matches that are just not up to par to what they can be. But Sasha Banks, she just 5-star match every time, I feel like, and you don't see it that often. And I just want to see that long title run where she's just every pay-per-view just killing it regardless of who she's facing.
Absolutely. Like, I don't know what it is. And, she is definitely believable. She works. She can do anything that you throw at her. And I'm happy that she's finally getting the opportunities that been eluding her this whole time, But even without the championship, she stayed relevant. When she was gone for that 6 months, everyone was, like, crying and begging to have that girl back. So it's she's just one of those people. I'm happy that she's going to go down as a legend no matter what.
Exactly. Like, I totally agree. Like you said, when she was gone, everyone was still tweeting about her, always talking about rumors. Like, she's going to AEW, this and that, She was always the talk. And then, when she came back, I mean, just everyone, Twitter blew up. And I know her merch sells like crazy. So, I mean, yeah, she's doing everything right. So just hopefully she gets that long title run. That's all I say, because it was frustrating. Every time she wins it, she loses it right away. So, yeah.
You just gotta finger cross. Seriously, 5-time women's champion in not even 100 days between all 5.
I know, that's ridiculous. Like, they need to do something about that, especially with Charlotte and Becky out. This is the time to do it.
I mean, I feel like she can go toe to toe with them. That's what kind of like always made me kind of upset about that, because like it's not like she's like second class where it's like, okay, we're out of no Charlotte, no Becky. Okay, now with you. She has gone toe to toe and had great matches with both of them. And it's like, she is here. She's great. She can cut a promo. She can be a face. She can be a heel. Like, her segments are funny. Like, I'm loving everything that she's doing with Bayley. Like, I love Hill Bayley. Like, I was so sick of that ponytail. I love the little bob haircut. I love how you hear Bayley in the back of in Sasha's matches. Like, that's my best friend. Like, you go, girl. And it's just like, I love that. I love those little small things in wrestling that just make me like smile. And it's just like, because I have like a close friend and we're like that with each other. You see your friend like lose 2 pounds. You're like, you better work it. Like, so I love that because it's so relatable and I dig it so much.
Yeah, me too. And the funny thing is, like, I've always respected her as a wrestler, but I could just never get into the character because it felt like it was more directed towards kids. Mm-hmm. And people would always talk about her potentially turning heel. I was like, I can't see it. Like, it doesn't, she was so like lovable and, always hugging people. I was like, it would have to be the perfect storyline and all. And they did it. Like, they didn't just turn her heel overnight. It was like a story and it progressed. Mm-hmm. They did it the right way, and that was one of the things that WWE got right. And Bayley is really killing it. And like you said, like her and Sasha together, heel face, they just meshed well. And I think that's really helping Bayley as well, having Sasha, just because you see the confidence they have when they're together, and you don't always see that with a lot of people because they are legitimate best friends in real life. So that's even better. Especially when you see the turn, where either Bayley turns on Sasha or vice versa. Like, it's going to be a moment.
It needs to be. I feel like it's going to be so it's going to be so random. I feel like we're all going to be very happy, like, yeah, and it's going to be just like, no. Like,
exactly. You're going to think it's going to happen at a special event, but then it's going to happen on like Raw or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's going to
be so exciting.
that was kind of like the Shield. Like for the longest time, people were like, "Oh, the Shield's gonna break up," but then they just, they had this really epic feud with the Evolution, and it just seemed like they were to go on a little longer than Seth snap. So I remember that moment, and I want that moment with Sasha and Bailey. I want that where I just want to replay it on YouTube, multiple times, and I just like still to this day every now and then like I want to go watch that, clip of that, like it, because I did that with Sasha for a little bit too when she turned when she came back on Natty. So I think they that would definitely be an epic moment that a lot of people will be talking about for a while after it happens.
I mean, they definitely bring the ratings in. So I think when it happens, if it happens, it's definitely going to be a special moment. And it's going to happen so fast, and it's going to be such a big moment. It's going to trend on Twitter immediately. Like, that's what I hate about wrestling fans. I'm talking to all you fans out there. Like, quit spoiling stuff for me. Like, I'll be at work, and, like, I just, like, go, like, notification. I'm just like, why would you do that? Like, it just happened. The match it just ended. Don't tweet about it. Like, let me watch the match.
Yeah, I don't really like spoilers either. And the funny thing is, like, right now, as we're recording, SmackDown's going on now. What if the turn happened right now as we're recording and we missed it? That would be hilarious.
Again, you do the Macaulay Culkin's face. Like,
yeah. Yeah, if that happened, I'd be like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. But because that happened when the Dudley Boys returned a few years ago, I was on a walk, not thinking that anything was gonna happen, and then shit, I missed the Dudley Boys coming back. So I tend to miss some of the good moments sometimes too.
they didn't really do much when they came back. I was excited. I was there actually. They were in Pittsburgh that night, and I was so excited. And then it just kind of just like it didn't come back for like months and months.
Yeah, I feel like at first it was really fun. Their feud with the New Day was awesome, and then I think they had a feud, with the Wyatt family, but then after that it just kind of went downhill. It was kind of more so a nostalgia thing at the end of the day.
Exactly. I mean, it's the Dudley Boys. Everyone respects and everyone. I mean, you're a wrestling fan for the last 5 years. Like, you know who the Dudley Boys are, right? Whether you know them as that or the Team 3D. So, I mean, it was what it was, but they had their name.
Yeah, it was
respect.
cool just to see them come back one more time. So I'm not going to complain. I mean, they did all the big rivalries that they could do with them, which is what I wish they would have done with the Hardy Boys. There was so much left on the table with that, but neither one of them could stay healthy at the same time. So it wasn't necessarily WWE's fault at the same time.
I mean, they're older too. Like, people expect that Dudley Boys to have those matches with the Hardys, and like they're 40. Like they can't do that. Like me at 23, I don't think I can do that stuff. So, like, they expect that WrestleMania 2000 match at 45, like, it's not going to happen.
If it happened, I would be really worried for them, all the stuff they put their body through for all the years. Like, you got to calm down now, You don't like that's the thing is, too, like, Sting, when he was wrestling in his mid-50s, he took a buckle bomb, or, his career's ended, and it was, very basic move, I mean, I'm sure I don't want to be buckle bombed or anything like that, but it just seemed like it wasn't like anything too complicated. And, that just shows you with age, like, you're fragile, it's nothing you can really do about it.
Just with age and, just, it can happen, just accidents, and when you're younger, you can kind of shake those accidents off. But when you're older, an accident can be fatal, And I think that's what happened. What was he, like 55, 53 at the time?
He was like 55, 56, something like that.
And he was up there, So it's like, dude, like just stop. And I'm happy that he stopped, and versus trying to keep pushing through. It's like, you're Sting. We get it. Like, you're Sting. We get it. You don't have to do anything else. We appreciate you. The world loves you. Thank you for coming to WWE for one time, and just bow out gracefully.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one thing I wanted to see, just in a WWE ring, and we got it. If he would have just had the WrestleMania match with Triple H, I would have been fine. I mean, it was cool. He did a little bit more, but I mean, like you said, he was 55, and he was already a legend. He didn't really need to do anything more. Just having that one match is all he needed, in my opinion.
Seriously, like that's all he needed. And to me, he didn't even need the match. You know, it's just it stink. You know,
Exactly.
he was one of the guys that we wanted to come from WCW to WWE, and he didn't. So just seeing his face on camera, it's just like whoa, he's finally here after 13 years after the WCW has diminished. So he didn't really need the match. I mean, it's cool and it's dope that he gave us one, but it's also cool that when that time comes as a wrestler, you just got to know how to just walk away.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I think it was for him. He's one of those people who just, really loves the business and wanted to continue to do it. And I think at that point of his career, he knew he didn't have a lot left. So it was like, hey, let me do this one thing I've never done before, kind of thing. So, I mean, I don't blame him. If I was really passionate about some kind of career and there was that one thing I haven't done, I would want to do it too.
It's definitely like the ring is definitely like an addicting feeling. It's like and no one can ever like explain it. Like I can't explain it right now. It's the most addicting feeling in the world because it's like all eyes on you. Everybody either hates you or they love you, and you have the ability to control everyone's emotion. Like if you're a baby face and you're getting beat up and you're selling and you're engaging with the crowd, the whole crowd is going to riot for you. They're going to want you to beat that person up. Or you're a heel and you're talking crap. Oh, there's times that people want to fight you. Like, oh my God, it's like I don't even know you. But there's times where like the whole crowd is so pissed off at you. You're just like, well, damn, like, how did I do this? So it's so addicting. Wrestling is addicting just as a fan or performer, manager, ring announcing. I think the whole sport is addicting. There's not too many people I've met in my life who stop like wrestling. Like they like it some way or another.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like when it comes to like wrestling, like obviously I don't wrestle, but like I run the podcast, and it is very addicting. Like, I'm turning this from a hobby to, I don't want to say a career because I don't make money from it and I don't plan on turning it into a job, but it feels like a job, just the dedication I put with all the recording and reaching out to all the, all you wrestlers and stuff like that. And it is addicting. And I have my goals too. There's plenty of people I want on the show. So it's like wrestling can be addicting in multiple ways, whether you're in the ring or just a fan watching on TV. Because that's another thing too. I am so passionate about watching wrestling on TV.
See?
It makes me feel like a kid, and it's like I feel like I cannot miss anything, especially at pay-per-views. Like I make it a mission to stay up late because I gotta be at work at 4 a.m. But I will stay up till 10:30, 11 p.m. and to watch these pay-per-views. So wrestling it's for anyone who's a fan of it, it has that special place in your heart that gives you some kind of excitement, whether it's, like I said, being a kid or just enjoyment. It takes you out of reality and puts you into the world of wrestling. And it makes you, a lot of people, from what I've talked to, they said it like it, they forget about all the troubles they have in their life. And, wrestling really helps people cope with, things. So.
It does. It definitely does. It's definitely a family, I haven't met too many fans or people who are in the business or even out the business who are bad people. Like everyone I've met, they're great. Like there's people I've never even met in person and they show mad love. There's people, I'll go to a show, like, or I'll even go back home and they're just like, hey, what's up, girl? And I'm just like, oh, hey, like, what's up? Or I get a message on Twitter or on Facebook and it's just like, hey, girl, like, how you doing? And it's just like, it's nothing but love. When kids want to take pictures or, if a grown man or a grown woman want to take a picture with you, like, it's nothing but love. No one comes to a wrestling show to get drunk and get aggressive. We all want to have a good time. Everybody probably had a shitty day at work. Like, and we just want to relax and see our favorite people get beat up. That's all we want to do. Like that's it.
Exactly, because like you mentioned, like being a professional wrestler, like you have those people you don't even know, you've never met, but they know you and they're a fan of you. It's like the little things you do for them, and that's usually one of the questions I ask too. Is just like you technically have, like, I don't want to say a power, but you have that impact, you know, because of you being who you are. You can do the littlest things. Like, you'll have someone that you don't know come up, take a picture. You just made their day, you know, like. And same thing with interacting on Twitter. Like, I remember I was talking to the Woad on the show one time, and I told her, I was like, you know, anytime wrestlers, you know, they retweet, engage with us on social media, stuff like that, it makes us feel like $1,000,000. And she's like, I never thought about it. Just like a common thing I do. And I'm like, yeah, like, you know, we look at wrestlers as, you know, role models, or, you know, or just in general, just that, you know, escape from reality. You know, I mean, everyone looks at it differently, but like, I really look up to a lot of wrestlers. And it's, you know, I'm 30 years old, and, you know, I look up to wrestlers, you know, maybe they're a little bit younger than me, maybe they're the same age, but it's just like, they're out there, you know, entertaining me. And that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I mean, I look up to people, you know, I look up to people who are, you know, even wrestlers sometimes, you know. I like to get the opinions of people who have been in the business, who have studied this business for 20 years, you know. I want to learn more, even if, you know, my career ended, you know, tomorrow. I would still want to be in this business. I would still want to talk to people. I would still want to go to shows. I would still want to support. And that's like the thing about wrestling. It's for everybody. It doesn't matter what your background is. You know, you're white, you're black, you're gay, you're straight, pansexual, you're yellow, you're short, you're a midget, you have no legs, you're paraplegic. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you know, wrestling is one of those things where it's like, hey, come on in. Like, you know, and I think that's the most beautiful thing about professional wrestling. Like, everyone's welcome, and the community will always take care of you.
Exactly, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because when I was watching Hood Slam a few months ago, there was a wrestler with one leg wrestling. I don't know how he was able to do it, but he was doing it. I'm like, wow, like, I've never seen anything like that. And that just shows, like, you can have a disability and still be out there and be accepted in the wrestling world. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, you can be anything you want to be, and you're still accepted. I mean, wrestling is, you know, the community of wrestling is very strong, and I wish I would have known about it for so long, because I got on wrestling Twitter like a year and a half ago, and I just met so many wrestling fans. I didn't know how many, like, I didn't know there was a lot of people my age that like wrestling anymore, because I don't know many people in person. So this was like a whole new world. And then when you go to the indie events and stuff like that, you meet all these other people, and it's just like the best feeling in the world.
Definitely. I mean, it's hard to find wrestling fans, like, just like going to a restaurant or going to a coffee shop. You'll never find one. But they're out there.
There's
a lot of people that still are very passionate about professional wrestling. Like, there's people, like, who will talk about, you know, the old days, ECW, or even like the 70s, like NWA stuff. You know, like, there's people out there who love wrestling, but some people, when they think of like wrestling, they think of like Rock, Stone Cold, Steve Austin. And it's like, it's so much bigger than that. You know, it's not just, you know, Goldberg, you know, and credit to them, to those guys, because, you know, they have created some of the best memories, but it's so much more. You know, it goes on. It doesn't stop at The Rock and Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels. It goes to, you know, John Cena, to Randy Orton, to Kofi Kingston, to Xavier Woods, to Seth Rollins, to Roman Reigns, to Apollo Crews. Like, it goes on and on and on. It's going to forever go on and on. So when you meet people who understand, like, that on and on process, it's like, are we related? Like, are we share type of blood or something? Like, it's super, super cool when you meet like a really passionate, like, wrestling fan. It's like an unspoken brotherhood or sisterhood. It's just like, I dig you.
It is, like, you're not lying. Like, it is very hard beating people, like, you know, like at a coffee shop or something like that. Like, I wear a lot of wrestling shirts, so I have people every now and then, oh, I like your Asuka shirt or something like that. But that's really about it. When I got on Twitter and I started meeting all these people, it's like, wow, like, I don't know you in person. I only talk to you through Twitter, but then I've really built relationships. Like, a lot of my friends that I met on Twitter, we have phone numbers, you know, exchange, talk on the phone all the time, stuff like that. So, you know, it is really like just a bond, you know, just being a wrestling fan.
And that's the greatest thing about it. I would never want to not be in this business. I would always want to be a fan. I would always want to support, because it's great. Wrestling is probably the most greatest thing, like, I think I've ever was involved in. Like, I don't have no regrets. With the injuries, with the sacrifices I made, being broke, not having anything, I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah, that's same with me. Like, just wrestling has just been like the best thing, hobby wise that I've had in the last decade. And I mean, yeah, it's a special thing, and I wish more people were into it. It's a lot of people grow out of it and then, kind of look at it, look down on it, but it's like they don't realize like just how special it is. I mean, it's their loss at the end of the day. Some people they just discredit it. They think, oh, it's something I liked when I was a kid. It's silly, and maybe because of, WWE, for the longest time, their face of the company was John Cena, who was more of a kid-friendly kind of character.
Yeah.
So, I get it. Like, it took me a lot to get back into wrestling too, because I wasn't excited about, so I like the badasses. I like the heels and stuff like that, so. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, I'm happy. I love wrestling. You love wrestling. So, I mean, shoot. So, promise, I think that, that wraps up all my questions for you. Have to thank you again for joining us today on O-Face Wrestling. It was an awesome interview. You're really a dope person, so I'm really glad that I did.
Thank you. You're pretty dope yourself.
Thank you. So, did you share any of your social media with the listeners?
My Instagram is promise_Braxton. My Twitter is @BraxtonPromise. You can find me on Facebook as well at Promise Braxton.
Sweet. And I have not found you on Facebook, so I'll look that up too and follow myself. But yeah, so make sure you all follow her on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Same with us. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Thank you all for tuning in today. And then once more, again, thank you so much, Promise, for joining us today on O-Face Wrestling.
Thank you. I had a blast. Take care.
Absolutely. Same to you. Bye.
Bye-bye.